Hello and welcome. I'm Darren. Today we are going to be checking out. That's interesting. What is only showing that fan speed? That makes no sense. We're going to do a quick random undervolt overclock. I'm just wondering why it's recording my GPU fan being so low, considering that I was just sat in this game for the last couple of minutes. It really cut it down that much. Interesting. Okay, so we are going to do a quick and dirty undervolt, and then we're gonna, because they kind of tie in with each other, so we're gonna do an undervolt, and then we're gonna do an overclock, and we're gonna check it out, and we're gonna see where we go from there. So this is gonna be awkward. I'm trying to find a game that actually had a relatively steady FPS, because if not, it's pretty awkward to tell. So I'm going to kind of write this stuff down as I go. I've kind of lined her head up with that tree, and there's a leaf sticking in her ass, and that's kind of about, because it's going to be quite awkward for me when I tab out to not move the mouse and blah blah blah. I'm hoping my screen's going to record. This is kind of a test, but if it works, then it saves me doing it again. So I haven't actually tried this yet, so we might get some crash, or we might just get lucky. I'm not going aggressive, and the reason I'm not going aggressive is because I don't want to change my fan speed. That's probably one of the things that I was just looking at, and it's what I'm going to mention. So we're going to check out a few things first. So we're in the game. We're at pretty much bang on 100 FPS. Before I started recording we were about 103, so we've lost a couple. So we're going to write down what FPS we're at. We're going to look at our clock speeds. We've lost some clock speeds now that we're recording. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Now before I started recording, that was pretty much a solid 2800. So trying to record doing this is possibly going to be a problem, because we are clearly taking up some GPU power by doing this recording. I'd probably have to, unfortunately, record this on an external camera. But hey, we're going to give it a go. We're going to see what happens. So at the moment we're at 2600. So that's a bit of a bummer. We were actually hitting our target clocks, which I was actually quite gobsmacked with. GPU temp, we're at 72, so we're actually hitting higher temps now we're recording as well. I never realised that. Damn. And our memory temp is about 88, 89, which is generally the hot one. Right, GPU fan, we are at 1200, which is nice and quiet. Now, I don't really want to go much above that. That's quite important to me. It might not be to you, but my PC is sat next to me on my desk, and I don't want to listen to a Hoover. And we're around 400 watts, which is generally where this card sits. Normally around 400. Every now and then you'll see it spike. I have actually seen it spike to 200. I've seen it spike to 600, but you're talking like a millisecond. But it's just beware. You want at least 1000 watt power supply with this, just in case it does that. So first we're going to go into the undervolt, because that's where we start anyway. Because everything is done by offsets. They're not actual values, everything is offsets, which is something that I wasn't aware of until I got this GPU, and then it all started to make a little bit of sense. So hopefully this will work, because I'm going to have to tab. If I bring up Alt R now, I don't believe it's going to record the overlay. I'm hoping if I tab out of the game and then bring it up via this method, I'm hoping that it is now going to actually show you this screen. If not, I've just wasted probably half an hour. So we're going to head to the performance tab, and then we're going to go into tuning. And effectively what we're going to do is we're going to leave the CPU. I am overclocked. If anyone's interested, I can show you that on another day. We have smart access memory enabled. The only other thing that I'm running is anti-lag. So now in the tuning control, obviously we have a undervolt, like it's an auto undervolt. The problem is with these is you can only choose one. You can't undervolt and overclock, you can overclock and undervolt, you can't overclock the RAM and undervolt the GPU. You can do one of these, and anything auto, nah, just steer fucking well clear. Auto's just wrong. So we're gonna open up the manual tuning. It's gonna tell me that I might blow my GPU up. I'm not gonna blow my GPU up. It's got way enough things in place to ever stop that happening. So we're going to open up every tab. That doesn't mean that we're going to use every tab, but we're going to open up everything that's available. And probably one of the first things I'm going to do, I did do an undervolt guide at one time, because at the moment my GPU is going to be running on its auto fan curve, and I'm not about. The problem is it's then going to, every time I do something that's going to adjust the temperature, it's going to start chasing. I don't want to do that. I want to see how I can affect the GPU whilst it's running around about the same fan speed that it's already running at. So it looks like we're around there. So we are going to come up to about where it was. We're going to drag this along a bit. It'd be handy if they actually put temperatures across there, so I knew where that was. So that's 100C there. We don't want to get to 100C. So in the event of something not happy, we're going to go with that. We're going to click apply. We're going to check what our fan now does. Yeah, we're a bit more than what we want to be, so we're going to bring that down. Click apply. 1500, 1400. It's a hot day today, and that's pretty quiet. I had to take my headphones off. That's pretty quiet. We can live with that. So now, undervolt. Let's go with undervolt first. Voltage 1150 is where it's at. It's, as I said, this is all offsets. So that doesn't mean it's going to be at 1150, but that means it will run up to that. It won't run past it. It will run up to that, and generally it will. So, like I was saying to you, our max frequency, surprisingly in that game, before I hit record, it was going up to about 2800, which I was quite surprised. I've not seen it do that before. So games differ, the amount of FPS you're putting out, all sorts of stuff. So anyway, first of all, we're going to take our voltage down. We're not going to go too mad. I'm going to go 1065 to start with. Now, as you saw in that recording, we were around about 2600. So we're going to take the clock speeds down to about 2600. We're going to apply that. In fact, let's actually go to 2600. You can adjust it on your keyboard to get a fine control. And we're going to see first off how that works. Come out there. I'm going to go back into the game. Back into the game. See what happens. So our clock speed is still around 2600. Now, as you can see, our wattage has just dropped down to about 350. Our FPS is about the same. I didn't take much notice of what our 1% lows were. I probably should have. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. But that's fine, because we can look back on the video. I'm going to assume our 1% lows is the same as a 99th. I don't know why AMD chose to write it like that, but I think we're stabling out on our 1%. There is a bit of a stutter coming through, isn't there? But in saying that, It might just be that guy walking around behind me. This might just be an impact of me recording, which is going to be a little bit awkward. But as you can see, we brought our GPU temp right down. So our GPU temp was 72, it's now 60. And our memory temp was 89, and it is now 78. I'd like to know if that random frame time dip, it's going to be awkward. I didn't realise the impact I was going to have. I'm stupid for not realising the impact I was going to have. But we're kind of going to roll with it. I mean, the thing is, like, if you don't kind of already understand at the moment, this is for my GPU. And my GPU is going to be different from everybody else's in the world GPU. It doesn't matter if mine's the 7900 XTX Sapphire Nitro. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a 7900 XTX Sapphire Nitro. It still isn't going to be the same as my 7900 XTX Sapphire Nitro. They vary. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's just drag that voltage up a little bit, just to check. And no, in fact, let's drag it down a little. Let's drag it down a little bit more. Why not? Just see why it's behaving in that way. Let's go down to 1050. It might not like this. 1050 is quite low. I think a lot of this is down to the fact that I'm recording. It was a bit optimistic of me to think that it was going to be alright. Come on. I'm pretty confident that's a recording issue. This is a guideline, so you'd have to check it out for yourself. That didn't really make a great deal. We're still around the same wattage. I'd probably take it back up to what we were, so I'm going to do that. But effectively, that's your guideline of effectively doing an undervolt. You have to take your clocks with it. You have to take your clocks with it. Now we can drag it down. In fact, let's go 1060. Now we can obviously drop the wattage down again by going down to 2500. I'm going to guess we're going to start seeing a noticeable drop in performance, but we'll check it out. Oh no, I moved. And to be fair, we're not really seeing a lot of a drop in performance, are we? We seem to have smoothed out our frame time. Nah, it's back. I didn't see that before I started playing the game. I'm guessing that's something to do with it probably. But where are we at now? In fact, our averages look better, however. We're down to 320 watts, which is about the 4080. GPU temp is below 60, which is extremely good. It's very hot here today. I'm actually sat here in just a pair of shorts and I'm sweating. And our memory is down to 76. Now, this is, like I said, this is a guide. If I start running around, things might get a little bit out of control. These are all things that you'd have to try for yourself. But it's kind of a baseline, and it's kind of showing you where to go and the reasonings why, and then you just have to try it yourself. And the problem is, it might not work in every game. I have more experience with NVIDIA. I've got really good overclocks on my 4080, which work really well in some games. Play it in Cyberpunk, and it'll either crash within a minute, or it'll crash after half an hour, but it will crash. It just does not like Cyberpunk. Play on any other game, it's perfectly fine. So anyway, that's where you start with your undervolt. Now if you just want to undervolt and you want to save power, this is the method that you'd use to do it. So now we're going to turn it from undervolt to overclock. So we're going to keep the voltage where we were, and instead of dragging the clocks down, we're going to go the other way. So like I said, before we started recording we were at 2800. Our clocks were set at 2800, so we're not going to go crazy. We're going to start at 2900. We're just going to go with clocks at the moment, and everything is an offset. So with the minimum frequency down at 500, that means that they're getting somewhere around there. And kind of what you need to do is you need to give it a little nudge in the right direction, but you don't want to go too aggressive. So we're going to drag that up to about 2600. We're going to leave a, like a 300 megahertz window. We're going to apply that. We'll go back into the game. We'll see if that's made any change. You're going to guess that it's instantly dragged our temps back up, it's dragged our power back up, everything should have effectively gone back up. We've got a bit of a performance gain. We seem to have dragged out that dip back up to 400 watts. We're going to let it sit for a little bit while I have a sip of water. I'm going to check out our temperatures. So our memory temp is alright. GPU temp 61. Memory temp 79. Those are going to drag back up. But we've gained ourselves a couple of FPS. If people are under some sort of illusion that you're going to gain 20 FPS, good luck. Now effectively it's free performance, because at stock we were at 400 watts and we're still at 400 watts. So even if it's 5 FPS that we might have gained, like I said, we are screen recording and that might have a bit of an impact. You gain 5 FPS, you're kind of gaming it. I'm gaming it for free at the moment because effectively I don't see this being a problem if I was to drop my fan to exactly the same as what it was before it started. So I'm not running hotter. My fans aren't working any harder. I've got a couple of FPS gain. It'll vary a bit. It's obviously got a little bit of a dodgy frame time going on. As I've said about 10 times, it's probably because I'm recording. I didn't realise how much load it put on the GPU. So we could probably take it till it crashes. Or saying that, I don't think we should go too mad. 2900, let's go 29. I think 3000 whilst I'm recording is going a bit crazy. It might go there. We'll take that up by 50. Or we could push it a little bit. Now let's push it. Stuff it. Let's give it a real good nudge. Come on. Got a bit of a gain. We're stopping at, we're still around the 400 watts. Now we bought our clock speed. It's a shame I'm recording. It'd be interesting to know where that would have gone. Damn. I'm kind of gutted now I'm recording. Memory temps, they're going to climb up. GPU temp is climbing up a bit. I'm not going to take clocks any higher than that. I think I'll be pushing it whilst I've already got the GPU under load. But I'm going to guess that if I didn't have, I reckon we could probably get about 10 FPS out of the clock speed. And I don't think I've lost anything. So I'm going to say it's probably pretty free. Free performance. Like I said, you'd have to run around, you'd have to check if it was stable, you'd have to try it in every other game. If it's not, it'll reset itself anyway. Go back in, bring it back down a bit, give it a bit more leeway. If you are crashing, probably the simplest thing to do would be to just don't nudge it so aggressively. Drop this back a little bit, see how that works. You might have to add a little bit more voltage in if you really want to push those clocks again. Or those clocks might prefer it if you take a little bit away. Just adjust either way. You'll find a happy medium. So memory, let's go 100 at a time. Now there is fast timings. You've got your default timings and you get your fast timings. We're going to stay from fast timings because in my experience with the 6800 XT, it didn't like this. You're not going to get a lot of leeway. Now memory's kind of it's a little bit different on AMD. I don't think you have, we'll find out, I don't think you have a huge amount to gain. Whereas on with my experience on NVIDIA, you can probably push 1000 megahertz overclock and they normally just take it. If you're pushing the clock speeds aggressively, probably not, but if you're literally just hitting the memory, they generally tend to take it. So let's have a look how we're doing now. It's kind of pretty much where it was. Memory clock speeds, where we're at, 2500, 2580. So what's that like in conjunction to what we've said? I was saying that, why does it say GPU memory 2 clock 3000? Is that my target? And that's what I'm nowhere near. Interesting. Interesting. Let's give it a little bit more. Why not? We're here till we crash, right? Let's go 2800. Why not? Let's take it till it's angry. Yeah, so I don't know what the 3000, I don't know what the MEM 2 clock is, but we've definitely taken our MEM 1 clock up. We are getting some artifacting now, aren't we? So we're going to back that out. Generally that's what you see with memory overclocking. You'll start seeing, and it will start having the negative effect. So we'll take that back down. Let's go down to 2700. It's probably not helped by, well, it's definitely not helped by the fact I'm recording. But effectively, if you start seeing any type of artifacting or flashing or something like that across the screen, you've pushed your memory too far. I'm surprised our memory temps are only at 80, considering we started at 89. So that's a result. GPU temp has only hit 63, we started at 72. We've got some free performance. So that's generally your kind of method for overclocking. Unfortunately, this isn't going to give you the best results because I am screen recording. And I'm going to guess that I think this game wasn't, I don't think this game runs impeccably smooth, but it was running smoother. And those just keep coming on a random basis. Unfortunately. So what I'll probably do is I'm going to finish it there, because for anyone that is interested in how you do it, that's kind of your method. I'm going to leave it there, and then when I stop recording, like I said, before I started recording, I was at 103. So what I'm going to do is, in the comments, I'm going to write down all of my details where they were at before I started recording, because I did actually write them down before I started recording, and then I'll write in where I am after I've stopped recording. I'll write that in the comments, so we can kind of see where it's at, because unfortunately the screen capture has, I believe, taken obviously some impact. So I'll leave it there. That's just a quick and handy guide of anyone that has no idea where to start. It is only a start, because no one can actually give you overclock settings for your GPU. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. But for this GPU, it's probably, you know, a general lookout. Like I said, if we just go back into, hopefully this is recording. If not, I'm going to be doing the whole damn thing again. Go back into there. So I've pulled it up to 2700. I've pulled it up to 2950. I've dropped the voltage down to 1060. Memory I've taken up to 2700. That might go further now when I stop recording. My clocks are going to jump up probably when I stop recording, so it might crash. I don't know. I would have thought it will crash because I'm recording, if it hasn't already crashed, which it hasn't. So I'm probably going to play for another 10 minutes. If everything's alright, then I'll put down the actual results without me recording. And then I'll upload it and I'll write them in the comments. So if this does work and someone wants to, you know, go from these settings and go, oh shit, I didn't raise the power limit. Do I want to? That's possibly why I didn't see that. I don't know. That might be why we were getting those stutters. Let's have a look. That was dumb of me, wasn't it? Raise the power limit. You don't want to raise the power limit when you're undervolting, but you want to raise the power limit when you're overclocking, because it gets rid of the stutter. Dickhead. So what have we got? We've got about 10 FPS. Where were we? We were 100, weren't we? Now, unfortunately, we are bringing our temps back up now, which I kind of thought we would. We are still kind of getting that stutter, but yeah, you want to reach a power limit. I don't know why I just ignored that. Like I said, I'm not actually completely used to this. I've got a bit of experience. I have kind of done. I did mess around with some port royals till I got like a legendary and stuff. So yeah, that's cool. I can go from there. As soon as I stop recording, I'll check it out. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this might have been of some help to you. Make sure you watch it till the end, because you need to watch where I realised that I didn't up my power limit. That's quite important. Obviously if you're undervolting, don't worry so much. If you're overclocking, you're going to have to raise your power limit. I was wondering why my temps weren't going up. Now it's obvious why my temps weren't going up. But unfortunately that's kind of the give and take. So GPU clocks, I think we could push it to 3000 without the screen capture. So anyway, I'll leave it there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.